ask you one quick question. Talking about greatness and the best fighting the best, there's a fight that I want to get your thoughts on, ERROL Spence and Mikey Garcia. I know that you have sparred ERROL Spence in the past, and I know people bring it up, but it's crazy to say, you know, that you sparred him a few years ago. So can you talk to me briefly about that experience, and what does Mikey Garcia, what's Mikey Garcia up against?
Well, I tell you, ERROL Spence strong as hell. I tried to punch him on the arms. I tried to punch through his guard, and I got nowhere. But I was 17 years old. I'm quite sure I could probably do a little bit better now, but just back then it was like, man, this dude is strong. And he hit me a couple times. He didn't daze me or anything, but I think we sparred 3 rounds. And we did that because I was walking through everybody at the Olympic Training Center, especially the guys. And they're like, we have to put her in there with somebody where she'll actually use her boxing ability. And that person was ERROL Spence.
What an experience.
For Mikey Garcia, I got, you know, for both guys, Mikey Garcia is very smart, has a very great IQ. He knows how to fight against tall and short fighters, and he makes great adjustments. ERROL Spence is strong. He has just as great an IQ, but he's a lot bigger. And I think that the fight will be great. And everybody keeps saying, oh, ERROL Spence is going to knock out Mikey Garcia, or Mikey Garcia is going to catch ERROL Spence. I don't think so. I think we're looking at a trilogy. I think it's going to be a war first fight. They're going to go, and whichever man has the heart and has the conditioning to go will be the one that wins. But with ERROL Spence being my Olympic brother, that is who I'm cheering for. All the love for Mikey Garcia in the world, but I'll be cheering for ERROL Spence and let the best man win on that night.
Big mega fights. We have someone who you know very, very well, Mikey Garcia, going up 2 divisions, taking on the champion in ERROL Spence Jr. Tell me, how do you break down this fight? You know Mikey very well. How do you see this fight?
Well, you know, look, we have the same trainer that made Robert Garcia world champion, my compa Robert Garcia, that made myself world champion, that made Mikey world champion. You're talking about somebody that made him from scratch. I'm not knowing nothing. I didn't know no punch. I was a street fighter. I was a kid that was, you know, in trouble with the law, and I found boxing, and my trainer, Robert Garcia, he's the one that showed me everything. What beats strength and intelligence? Why is Floyd Mayweather considered the best fighter of this generation? Because he beat people with intelligence, not with strength. You know, he knocked out a few people, but more intelligence. You can't touch, you can't hit him. What you can't touch, what you can't see, you can't touch. You can't hit him. So, you know, you're gonna see Mikey be intelligent, but he also packs a punch. Yeah. You know, so, you know, and he's able to do that strength workouts to make him stronger. I'm excited. I'll be there.
What would you tell him? I know you have some experience as a trainer. What would you tell Mikey Garcia to do inside the ring against ERROL?
You know, like Jefe always send us, Jefe Big G always send us, primero inteligente, Fernando, luego valiente. And I know that's how Jefe's going to send Mikey, primero inteligente, luego valiente. Primero la inteligencia siempre gana.
So what's your prediction? How does this fight end?
I think that Mikey wins a unanimous decision.
In the Terrence Crawford fight.
Well, Terrence Crawford has this fight with Amir Khan. ERROL Spence has a fight with Mikey Garcia. Is the fight between Terrence Crawford and ERROL Spence a fight that needs to happen pretty soon?
If you want to pick and say, you can say ERROL Spence is the best welterweight. You can say, you know, Terrence Crawford is the best welterweight. You can say Keith Thurman is the best. I mean, right now there's just way too much, you know, room for anybody just to be like, oh, this guy's the guy, until they fight each other. You know, I know the circumstance. I know how it is. I mean, you know, we basically come from different networks, and it's really hard to make these fights happen. And but like I said, it's the, you know, what's up, baby? I got it. I'm good. So with that being said, I would love to see if they can come up and negotiate some kind of deal to be able to make the fight happen, but it's far from unlikely, honestly. It's far from unlikely. I'm serious.
Mikey Garcia is moving up 2 weight classes. I mean, when fighters move up 1 weight class, it's some adjustment that needs to be done. Now moving up 2, how much of an adjustment is it for Mikey Garcia to fight ERROL Spence? The moving up 2 weight classes, the adjustment he has to make in moving up 2 weight weight classes?
That's tough. I mean, that's tough moving up 2 weight classes. You know, it's a real good paycheck for Mikey Garcia, but you know, Mikey Garcia, I believe sees something. You know, he's talented enough. He's a 6-time world champion. You know, a 5-time world champion, whatever it is, which one it is. But you know, he wants to be great in the sport. You know, so everybody was afraid. Well, not Terrence Crawford, to fight against Errol Spence. So guess what? He said, "Hey, I'll fight him. You know, I see some weakness that I can exploit. You know, why not?" And he's going to be fighting at Cowboy Stadium, you know, down in Dallas. And, you know, he's going to have an opportunity to show us what he's talking about. So I think it's going to be a great fight. I think early on, I think he'll have some success. But I say that weight, man, when I went from 140 to 147, that 7-pound gap, the punches were a lot harder. These guys were a lot smarter. And you fighting the cream of the crop now. You fighting the top dog at welterweight, which is Errol Spence, who's strong, physically strong. Now, if Mikey can keep his power up from the lightweights and moving up, then he can do some damage. But man, like I said, that weight, it's gonna take a toll in the later rounds. You know, if Mikey can't get him up out of there or hurt him.
Your prediction for that fight?
My prediction is that Spence should win that fight. If Spence doesn't stop him, then Spence will win a decision.
Another mega. I want to get your thoughts on all the. There's so many fights that were announced today. I mean, we can't even go through all of them. But let's talk about one of the hot ones, Fox pay-per-view, with Mikey Garcia moving up to 147 to fight Errol Spence. What are your thoughts on that fight?
That's a big move, and you have to, you know, give props to a guy that's willing to come up 2 weight classes and fight. Not only fight a guy bigger than him, a guy that's considered the boogeyman at his weight class. And nobody else wants to fight Errol at 47. That's what it's seeming like. So for this guy to come up and there, you have to give major props to him. You got to give major props to Errol to getting up for this fight also. So I just hope to see a great fight through both of them. They're both pound-for-pound greats, and I think it's going to be an awesome fight.
That fight. And we were also mentioning Errol Spence, who will be taking on another Mexican fighter in Mikey Garcia. Mikey moving up to 147 to take on that big challenge. How do you see that fight? Do you see it as close as some people see it, or some others just have that too big of a challenge for Mikey and have Errol winning? How do you see it?
Well, you know, I believe anything is possible. I don't believe in everything's possible. I mean, Errol Spence, another human being, is not God. You know what I mean? I always think about that. Mikey Garcia is very talented. He's a strong fighter. The only issue I see against Mike is the size. You know, other than that, Mike is talented, you know, and is hungry and is very confident. But like I said, the biggest challenge for him is the strength and the size of Errol Spence. And he's very, very talented too, but the biggest problem is the size, you know, like everybody says. But I don't know. Mike is a great fighter, you know. I never know.
If the size is the biggest problem for Mikey against Spence, what does Mikey have to do to beat him?
Well, I mean, focus on his technique, you know, be smart, you know, not try to look for the knockout. I mean, if the knockout comes, it's going to come. If he try to look for the knockout, he's going to expose himself to get caught, you know what I mean? That's what I believe. He just got to stay on his believe in his abilities, you know, and focus on that, you know what I mean? And he's a very strong fighter too, you know, you never know. It might hurt him, you know, and you never know, but Mikey have the skills, you know.
I just want to get your thoughts on the big fight coming up next week. We have, of course, Errol Spence and Mikey Garcia. How do you see that fight going down?
If anyone can do it, Mikey can do it, but Earl's an uphill battle. He's an uphill battle. I told Mikey myself, if he wins, I'll be surprised. But I'm going for him. I'm rooting for him. But again, it's going to be a hard fight for Mikey.
We can't wait. Thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you. I know it's freezing here. I know we got to go work.
I'm even more punchy because I can't talk.
All right, thanks for your time.
You're on my level, and I proved you weren't tonight.
¿Te gustaría enfrentar al ganador de Spence Garcia?
Bueno, no, ahora mismo no soy campeón, pero la semana que viene pienso estar ahí en esa pelea y yo pienso ahora que las oportunidades van a venir. Conmigo hay que pelear fuerte y yo voy a dar un show siempre.
He says absolutely. He'd love to get that fight. You know, he plans to be there in person, and everyone knows when Ugas comes to fight, there's going to be a great fight. I'm coming to fight, and I can beat anybody in the world.
Predicción de García o Spence.
Bueno, pienso que son dos campeones. Pienso que Spence, pero pienso que son dos campeones y va a ser una buena pelea.
Says, you know, they're two great champions, two great fighters. He leans towards Spence, but he thinks it's going to be a great fight and a great night for boxing.
Where do you guys go for?
Tengo a García. Sí. Nunca me ha tocado, nunca he tenido ese privilegio. Es un boxeador fenomenal para mí y bueno, pues yo le doy la ventaja a él.
¿Se va a decisión?
Yo digo que sí, yo digo que a decisión. Gracias.
Hats off to Mikey. You know, I like Mikey. We were from the same area in the 805. So growing up and training together, we saw him. So he's good. And I mean, the guy can fight, but so can ERROL Spence. So it's one of those fights, man, that you have to tune in. If you're a true boxing fan, it's going to be fireworks because Mikey has the opportunity to make history if he comes out with the victory. So, and I mean, everybody's not giving him a chance. Some people aren't, but that's what makes it so exciting. That's what makes boxing so great.
I think everyone was going kind of leaning towards Spence, and now that the fight's a little bit closer, people are kind of like, you know what, it might be closer than what we're going to do.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Mikey must see something that we don't see. So, I mean, Mikey is a smart guy. He's a smart guy. I would say maybe pushing ERROL Spence back. He's never been pushed back, but ERROL Spence is a big boy, so it's hard to push the bigger man back. So, I mean, we'll just see if Mikey has that little better timing and the little better speed that he says he does. It's going to be a great fight, you know. I mean, the boxing comes out winning that night.
Okay, and last question, talking about size difference, Mikey Garcia with ERROL Spence. So that's a big difference as well. What do you make of that fight and how do you see it?
Yeah, but you can't compare Rocky Fielding to ERROL Spence. ERROL Spence is the cream of the 147 pounders, I think anyway. I think it's a difficult fight for Mikey. I think that I'm surprised that fight got made. ERROL Spence walks around at 180 pounds, so he's a big man. Mikey's 135, 140 pounds. Yeah. But Eduardo, his father, Mikey's father, sees something. He told me he sees something. Okay. So you talk about a very knowledgeable boxing man. If he sees something, there is something to it. So, but I still think that Spence is just a little too big. Not experienced enough, but a little too big for Mikey.